at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road. Welcome to Friday edition Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Max Gotro, and in for the vacation, Jimmy Ott, WBRZ sports director, long-time sports director, Michael Cobb. I can say that because we got in very close to the same time.
We're about the same age, covered all the same things. Yeah, we've been around a minute or two.
Done just a little bit of this stuff together. You're leaving for media days on Sunday. We want to talk a lot about that. We're going to kind of do a media days preview.
About 7 weeks out.
Yeah, we're closing in on it. If you get to media day, by the way, we've enjoyed this World Cup. It's a nice, the last day of the World Cup is Sunday. The next day is media day start, so it's very convenient.
It's helped with the void of LSU baseball. It's gotten a little bit of juice, in the middle of the summer. Obviously, not everybody's tapped in, but it's been exciting, I think.
I've enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't have any expectations coming in, and I wonder how much I would have paid attention if LSU would have been in Omaha this year. It's very easy when
Sure.
the team you cover is gone to turn your attention to Spain and France in the World Cup. But if LSU's playing, Texas A&M in the College World Series, then that's gonna take the front.
I look at it as like an appetizer, right? It's
Yeah.
it's going to do a little something for you, tide you over, but it's not going to fill you up. And it's been a lot of fun, like you said. It's been more enjoyable than I would have thought.
Let me, before we get too far here into the football stuff, get everybody up to date what's going on at the Open, because Sam Burns came out smoking today and shot a 62. That is a record, tied for a record in a major at 62. He holed out from the bunker on 18, which was 3 consecutive birdies to end his round. He came out birdie 2 of the first 4. And then on the back 9, he shot 6 under 30. It's 34 in the front, 36 on the back. He shot 6 under 30 on the back to card that 62 in a tournament that up until, according to him and his agent, last Friday, still wasn't 100% sure that he was even going to play into the birth of his child. Bogey-free round today, obviously. The other thing is that Lucas Herbert, the Australian, also shot 62 today and actually missed a 5-foot putt on 18 for his only bogey of the day that would have given him a 61. So Burns has got the record. He does not have the lead. He's 5 under for the tournament. Herbert is 8 under. Cam Young and Jackson Suber are both at 6 under par. Max, bring me my golf expert. Max, what's going on this morning besides the fact that Sam Burns made history?
Yeah, it was interesting. So Jackson Herbert, came out absolutely guns a-blazing. 6 under on the front 9. He was 8 under through 12 holes, almost on like 59 watch. Which, look, the 62, it's a little bit overblown, the record stuff. I know it's obviously a great score. It's a great round and whatnot.
Don't be a wet blanket.
Boy, I tell you.
Here's what I'll tell you. The records we have to hold a little bit. There was no 62 until 2017. 63 was the major record. There are now like 7 of them.
Okay.
So the game has changed a little bit. The
2
equipment's
on 1
gotten
day.
easier. 2 in 1 day. I mean, you tie. Is it really as big of a deal? But Herbert looked like he was going to shoot maybe 60. He was in the middle of the fairway on a par 5 17th, 200 yards out, and ended up hooking it. Played a little pull hook out to the left and ended up making par there. And then, as you mentioned, missed the shorty on 18. So he was very much in the thought of setting the course a new record at 60 or 61. But then Burns kind of just backdoors one, and it was very impressive to birdie the last 3 holes. Note yesterday he bogeyed the last 3 holes, so 6 shots better on just the last 3 holes alone. And it was very impressive the way in which he did it. A few long putts, which you expect for Sam Burns, a great putter to make those long putts. And he mentioned in the post-round interview on TV that he got a few breaks here and there throughout the round, a couple bounces here and there. but he also hit some shots to inside 3 feet. He had some tap-in birdies as well throughout the day. So his iron play was immaculate today, and that's what really got things going. And he chips in on the last hole from the bunker on 18 just to cap it off, put the cherry on top. So an incredible round of 62. I don't want to take that away. The record, whatever. It doesn't mean as much to me, but he was obviously very excited about his round afterwards. He was disappointed the way he finished yesterday, and he's positioned himself very well. And he mentioned afterward that he likes links golf right now. He's learned it a little bit. He learns to accept the bounces. You're not always going to get the ones you want, but he's learned to lock in and commit to the shots. There's so many different options that you have when you play links golf. Do you play it low? Do you play it high? But he is in very much in the mix, and considering his major track record so far this year, you wouldn't expect him to bow down this weekend.
He's never finished in the top 30 at the Open. This is of the 4 majors, this is the one where his overall performance is the poorest, but not the case this year. A couple other notes in this deal. Scotty Scheffler is through 7. He's 1 under par for the day, 3 under for the tournament. So your favorite right now is 5 shots off the lead. Bryson DeChambeau, who shocked everybody yesterday with a 67, is even par for the day. He's in the same group with Scheffler. He put one into – I didn't even know there was this portion of the golf course. It almost looked like a Louisiana swamp off the fairway at 7. And he went in there and somehow went in there and got it out and saved bogey. So he is at 3 under par, too. And wasn't it what week was the Zurich? This was the last week in April, right?
Sure.
Okay, so less than 3 months ago, it was Alex Fitzpatrick. He got his exemption, and does he really deserve it? Well, he proved right after that by backing it up that his brother Matt, who is in contention for Player of the Year, was definitely not carrying him. Well, whatever we had before, Matt Fitzpatrick, number 2 in the world right now, or number 3 in the world?
3 or 4.
Yeah, he strong contender for Player of the Year this deep into the season. Is going to miss the cut, most likely. The projected cut is at 1. He has finished at 2. Alex Fitzpatrick is 3 under for the day, 4 under for the tournament, and 4 shots off the lead, and he is going to 18 right now. So he's going to be in the mix. In fact, he has just gone to 5 under par because he birdied 17. So he's only 3 shots off the lead. We mixed up our Fitzpatricks. You didn't make a mistake on the Wednesday, by the way.
I was hoping you were going to just got it by mistake, and that I was going to say I had a guy in the top 5. But no, Alex is – look, he finished top 20 his only appearance at an Open Championship, so he's done pretty well at an Open on link-style golf before. Nevertheless, I mean, this is incredible what he's been able to put together this year. Following up the Zurich, he's been in all these signature events, elevated events with great fields, and still finishing top 10, top 5, being in the conversation. And now to do it in his home country, he's right now the top Englishman on the leaderboard. They're going to rally behind all of them. But you've got Matt Wallace at 4 under, Justin Rose and Matt Fitzpatrick, obviously being probably out of it. Rose is still fighting to make the cut, but he is going to have a big contingent of a fan base this weekend if he's able to contend. And you just got to give him a pat on the back, considering, earning his tour card, the quick rise to the PGA Tour, and to now be, making up for it with, the card is deserved, but to top it off and take advantage of it in the way that he has been very impressive.
Where did Rose get to today?
He is just kind of underway. I saw him birdie. I believe it was the 6th or 7th hole earlier.
He's through 8. He's 1 under for the day, 4 over for the tournament.
4
so
over. He's got some work to do. The cut is likely going to be 1 over par when all is said and done.
Been a really sucky day for England, or sucky 2 days for England. On Wednesday, they were talking about, hey, listen, on Sunday, we get possibly the first World Cup since '66 and the first Englishman to win the Open on English soil since '69. Well, if they get it, it ain't going to be one of the top 2 guys. It ain't going to be It ain't going to be Matt Fitzpatrick, and it ain't going to be Justin Rose. I'm pulling for Sam. Obviously, we'd love to see him get that first major. He's been knocking on the door, but not in this tournament. What do you attribute, before we move on from the golf, his Lynx improvement here?
Well, look, I think it's. I mentioned this when we picked him pre-tournament, but it's major improvement, right? He wasn't a good majors player, and so up until 2 years ago, when he started playing better in majors, it's aligned with his major track record being poor. So he hasn't really played many Open Championships where he was playing good major golf to begin with. So I think that's part of it. But experience helps in these moments, and the fact that he didn't play the Scottish, that he didn't have the normal prep on links golf that most other players did, when he was at even par through 15 holes, we were talking about on the show yesterday, Charlie, I was pretty happy with that. You know, the opening round, just settle in. Obviously he had some practice rounds, but to open with even par would have been great. And then he finished bogey, bogey, bogey. So I was like, man, he might have taken himself out of it. But this is how you come back. You come back strong with something like this, and now he's very much in the mix. So I just think his baseline is improved. His overall major track record is improved. And whether he's a good links player or not, it's hard to really tell, but his major track record up until 2 years ago wasn't very good. So I think that's the reason why his links track record isn't very good either.
I'm feeling very good about winning my bet with Jimmy. I bet him that he would win 2 majors before he was 40. In his career, basically, before he was 40. So your bet with Jimmy that Jordan Spieth is going to win again, I feel less confident
you're
about.
Just kicking a man while he's down, huh?
I want him to win. I like him, but they put him in the club. The Queen
honorary membership at Royal Birkdale this week. Yeah, I'm sure they'll give it to Tommy Fleetwood. He's already a member.
So the Queen, the King is the King
guy.
Now. The King goes out and knights him or whatever, and he's in the club. No.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, he's got 2 birdies today so far. He bogeyed the 6th, but he's got a chance to make the weekend at least.
He's gonna have to hustle. We're here at Rufino's. Come on by and see us. Our lunch specials today. Chef Patrick putting the shrimp and peach ceviche on the appetizer menu with the marinated tomatoes, crispy fried oysters with the truffle aioli. Also an appetizer feature today. The entrees. The steak feature is the 8-ounce filet, duck fat roasted carrots, and the bone marrow butter. That seems to make it onto our menu at Eat the Competition every year, too. It's outstanding. And the grouper Florentine with the spinach artichoke cream, also your entree features today here at Rufino's on Highland Road. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. You know, at United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business, all the way from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. United Community Bank is here for you. Prentice Wilkes, Heath Muir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. Stop on by and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice, celebrating 90 years in business in 2026. Supporting our Louisiana farmers, go to SupremeRice.com. Michael Cobble from WBRZ is our guest host today with Jimmy on vacation. Mike, you're leaving for media days that start on Monday in Tampa. First time in Tampa.
Yeah.
It's a nice little change of
places to be, right?
Yeah, the landscape and all that. Yeah, for sure. Since Lane Kiffin got here, what you cover the program on a daily basis. Every media available. You're at everything. How would you describe having covered him just before they played a game? What you expected and what it's been like?
That is a good question. It's definitely been a little different than I expected. It's been somewhat the same of what I expected. But what struck me, I mean, there's a couple of things, and this is kind of how you make the sausage stuff. But, he's the head coach, and none of the local media has had a sit-down with him one-on-one. So that, for me, that is kind of my go-to, right? You want to get to know the coach. You want to hear kind of his – outlook on football, philosophy on life, whatever it is. We can't sit there and talk about the 12 wide receivers they have every single day. So it would be nice to get to know Lane a little bit. But so that stands out, right? The other thing is just how much of a quiet talker he is in press conferences. Like, literally, I'm sitting 10 feet away from him, and I'm, like, leaning in to hear what he has to say. I thought with this larger-than-life personality that he has on social media that he would also be a little bit larger-than-life in life. But, no, he's kind of reserved. Definitely a little different, as he likes to say. Sure. There's some social, I think, issues, with him, and maybe I don't know if it's trust. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I haven't really got to get to know him yet, but we're not going to be best friends. I don't know that we're going to have running jokes like Les and I did, and and he's not going to go out of his way, to backslap you and hug you like O did. So like it's just a different personality. Now there's nothing wrong with that. Like Brian and I obviously weren't best friends, but he had a amicable relationship, and you could share some conversations off to the side. So it's a developing process. We don't have that yet, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
You brought up Les. There couldn't be two more opposite people in the world. Football philosophy, personality,
yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Play calling.
These guys could be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but. Listening to Kiffin in the handful of press conferences that he's had and that I've been to, there's one similarity. And we used to get this a lot when Les was here from media outside the market. They'd say, well, man, it must be wildly entertaining to hear Les Miles. Because the clips that made national news were entertaining. But the rest of it was pretty mundane. It was Les talking about 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and these kind of strange comparisons to that. But whenever he's like, you go kiss them on the mouth if you're a girl. You get all of these, but the rest of the time, and the Mad Hatter thing, it's like, oh, that crazy Les Miles, with the fake field goal or the fake punt or whatever. It's like, after 95 toss leads, there's a fake field goal. And just the early part of Kiffin too is what you realize is we've been getting the one or two quotes out of these things that got everybody's dander up or whatever. But most of the time, the rest of the time, he's just doing his job, going about the business of coaching the football team and updating the media about it, which is fine to me.
Yeah. Again, like, we don't have to be best friends. Just there to cover his games, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to cover a game yet, right? So we really don't have a great feel for kind of who he is or what he's all about. But no, I've enjoyed it. I think he likes to pontificate a little bit, which is fun for me because I don't really have to sit there and labor over the X's and O's all the time. It's okay, but I do like to understand the decisions, like the why behind the decisions. So he's good with that. He's got a little Saban in him in that you may ask him a question, but he's not going to answer that question. He'll talk about what he wants to talk about. There's a little bit of that. I'm really dreading media days, though, because I just feel like we're going to have to relitigate the whole leaving Oxford thing. All day Thursday with everybody.
Well, if you're going to hate that, you're really going to hate the Ole Miss week.
Oh, game week? Yeah. But at least that'll be local, like that'll be local, and but just having to hear all the national people try to get either their shots in or their questions in, about stuff that we've already talked about ad nauseum around here, I mean, it just kind of wastes our time. So I'm looking forward to, hearing from a couple of the players, just, how things have progressed. And, getting to hear more from Lane. I know it's not going to be – we'll have an informal session with him as well as his main media sessions, but there'll be enough people around that it's not going to be really, really informal. So I just – I was hoping when he got here, and he's doing his tour of Baton Rouge and going out to eat everywhere, I was hoping I would just run into him at one of these places and just be able to chop it up a little bit about kind of, just what his assessment has been, since he's been here. And just hadn't happened yet, but that's all right. We got time. It's not even year one.
What do you expect him to get asked next week outside of the Ole Miss thing, which I'm tired of that too.
Yeah.
But what if you get the first question? What do you want to ask him?
What do I want to ask him?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't know.
What's the first one?
Mine's probably not even football related, quite honestly. Mine is more of just, the comfort level. And, he's talked a little bit about slowing down the expectations here. I'd be curious to know, why does he feel that way? If they have amassed the roster that we all think they have, and he is the play caller that we all think they are, and the defensive staff returns mostly intact, like I see a ceiling for this team, but he sees it every day. Why are you a little cautious? To me, it would feel like if it's secretly cautious or pumping the brakes just to throw everybody off as a smokescreen, then that's one thing. I get it, but no, that would be it. I think what he'll get asked is about Ole Miss. He'll get asked about tampering. He'll get asked about his thoughts on super leagues and those kinds of things. And I just don't know that really moves the needle for anybody here.
I'd like to ask him, and it's in the same vein. This is I think 5 coaches now that have, not counting Ogeron, that have taken this job sight unseen. In other words, they didn't come for a campus tour and an on-site, deal, and they didn't get to meet everybody. Yeah. You get to meet the small party. When Jerry DiNardo took the job, I remember the television stations following him around campus, him and Joe Dean, here's the stadium, here's the locker room, here's all this stuff. He actually answered questions during the interview process. This is 30 years ago, so obviously that's not going to happen anymore. But Saban took the job never having been on campus, and Les took the job never having, been on campus or meeting really anybody other than the search party. And the same thing with Brian Kelly. It was a little bit different with obviously he'd been and now I would like to ask him what's different from what you thought was different, because that was the big quote out of the thing. Yeah. It's just different here. Tell me how. Okay, before you ever kick the football off, what's what you thought it was and what's not what you thought it was, and why? And I would be interested to hear, because it seems like outside of the Vanity Fair thing that most everything has gone very well for him since he got here. The recruiting class was good. He didn't come in here and lose Lamar Brown, right? Okay, so the recruiting class was good. The transfer portal class was exceptional. Spring practice, okay, they had a couple of injuries. You would a couple guys that you didn't want to lose, but that's just ball. And your quarterback, which was the biggest injury that you were worried about, is apparently going to be, right? Is doing okay. You want to talk about the first question I'd ask besides, what are you comfortable? The question number 2 is how's Sam Levitt? But he's answered that sort of. That would be where I would go, because the rest of it's going well. And since the Vanity Fair thing, he's kind of gone mostly radio silent. He's been off of social media, so maybe he's just recharging the batteries and getting ready for football season, or maybe it's some kind of shift in his social media. I hate to call it a policy, but just what he's doing. You notice when he just jumps off and doesn't say anything.
It's a cleanse. What did Aaron Rodgers do? He went on his little retreat, whatever. Maybe
he went in the dark.
Yeah, yeah. So this is
he locked himself in a cabin for a week.
Of social media dark retreat, I guess. So.
The other question would be about Levitt, and that's the other thing, is they're not taking him to media days. You read anything into that?
I did. Yeah, I posted it. I love people love to have opinions on Twitter, but then they hate it when you have your own. And I just think that every team should bring a quarterback. I mean, if you have a clear-cut starting quarterback that then you should be compelled to bring them. They're the face of your offense. They're the most important position on the field. And we haven't talked to Sam Levitt in the spring. Now, is that a tragedy? No. I mean, there's certainly bigger issues in the world, but it is football. It is media day, and that's who the media wants to talk to. They want to talk to the quarterback they haven't talked to yet. And so I don't understand why they didn't bring him. But hey, look, I'll ask Lane that question, because I think that's a fair question, and I'd like to know. Weeks already went. He's a great representative of the defense. That's not an issue. I'm excited to hear from Trey'Dez Green and Ty Benefield, TJ Daugherty, but no, I want to hear from the dude that's going to touch the ball every time on offense.
Benefield was another guy that we thought they might bring. My take on it is it doesn't bother me all that much. I say that not having to go and file a report for media days like you do. Joe Burrow didn't speak to the media until after the Miami game.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, who got here, I think, roughly 2 months in the calendar ahead of Joe Burrow, where Joe Burrow did, also didn't go to media days. Now, if I remember this right, you probably remember better than I do. Jaden did talk a little bit in that camp, not a lot, but a little bit before he played.
So I equated it to this. I think in 19 we didn't talk to Joe at all in fall camp.
And that was game 18.
18?
Well, first year.
No, 19.
19.
So,
okay.
In 18, Joe, it was still unsettled.
And
right?
he told us when we asked, they said, Joe has said he doesn't want to do any media until he has done something on the field.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Respect that, actually.
Sure, and that's the way it worked out. So, if Levitt's reasoning for this or Lane's reasoning for this is, hey, listen, stay there, focus on your rehab. You don't want to talk about all of this stuff until you've done something. That's fine. I respect that. Doesn't help you do your job, or
I guess, but in the day of free agency, then, and what the kids are making now, then I just feel like that they're somewhat obligated. To be quite honest, I feel like if you're the face of the franchise, then get out front and be the face. Look, I mean, again, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over it. We'll do the job one way or the other, and hopefully we'll hear from Sam before they kick things off against Clemson. I can't imagine that we wouldn't. I think it's a missed opportunity. So you asked, I'm going to ask Lane. I'll get an answer, and I'll live with it, and we'll move on.
They know that question's coming.
I sure hope so.
It's gonna be a race to see who can ask it first. That question, they know that question's coming.
Yeah. You asked one of the questions I want to ask, and this is why I want to kind of talk to Lane more off camera, but I went to their coaches clinic, and Billy Glasscock, their GM, was doing a presentation, and it was mostly about roster compilation and management. But he said one of the keys to winning in college football now is finding a head coach that can recruit a quarterback. And so obviously alluded to Lane being successful in that, finding a quarterback, recruiting a quarterback, whatever it is. So I want to kind of pick Lane's brain on why does he feel like he has a leg up in that race. It doesn't matter whether it's in high school or through the portal, because obviously he's done it mostly through the portal here recently. So, and kind of what is the evolution of that, and how has it changed for him over the years? So that's something I'll try to get in there if I can. But again, to me, like I want a little bit of time, because I want my questions, and I don't want to share them with everybody else. Like I'm greedy, I guess, in that way. And so I'm sure the other guys are as well. I hope they are. We're a little competitive in our job, so it's, I want to kind of get some inside track. I want to get to know who the dude is.
That the recruiting of quarterbacks, I don't even think that his recruitment of Sam Levitt was the most impressive job that he did in recruiting quarterbacks this offseason, as impressive as that was, because this was not an easy get. I mean, they had to chase him halfway across the country. Getting Longstreet here, knowing that he wasn't going to start when he had offers to start other places. Now that, I want to know how he talked. I know there's an NIL package, and I get all of that, but when you are told, come here, sit a year, okay? This used to be a fairly easy sell. If you transferred, you had to sit out a year anyway. Come and sit a year is borderline insulting to a lot of these kids. He talked him into that because of what happens after that. That was impressive to me, because nobody transfers to sit anymore.
And I don't know if you saw this.
Very few, anyway.
But Husson's one of their Nike, sponsorship Nike team kids. So obviously he did get a pretty sweet package. Lamar Brown, as a freshman, is on that team as well. So that speaks a little bit to, I guess, the brand that LSU loves to flex.
I have some thoughts about the Nike deal that they did that I'm going to share a little bit later on in the show, because this is a very important time for the Save College Sports Act and whether or not this actually happens. And they're getting down to it, because Congress is going to break in August, and when they get back, they're all running for re-election in the midterms. So if you don't get it done in the next couple of weeks, this thing could fade away for the next few months. I'm curious. I've got some thoughts about that we'll share later on in the show.
Are we going to break?
We are.
All right, so I do have some breaking news, though, that we can tease before we come back. LSU football announcing their future non-conference schedules and some pretty interesting tie-in games for people here locally.
Okay. It's one of my favorite topics is scheduling. We are brought to you by Total Maintenance. With this sweltering heat, man, if your AC is not working, this is a problem, because nobody likes to go to sleep hot. Get in their membership program, service twice a year, 50% off diagnostics, 15% off of all repairs. And if you get into their elite membership program, you're going to get a lifetime warranty on your repairs. 2 visits a year with diagnostics, 50% of your monthly fee in Total Maintenance bucks, and you're going to get a Total Maintenance $200 bonus credit just for signing up. Call 480-0007, 480-0007. Fewer AC breakdowns, lower energy bills, year-round peace of mind at Total Maintenance. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. Live at lunch from Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime. You get in a car accident like I did, it's just it's not fun. So pick up the phone, call 343-1111. You can go to the website at ocbrown.com and you can schedule it there. As soon as you pull up the main page, it'll direct you accordingly. It's easily, and that's what we never charge for that initial consultation. If you get in a car accident, you need it. Everybody knows that, and we'll take care of that. We'll pay for your doctor bills, set up the doctor bills, just eliminate as much of the stress and inconvenience that goes along with this. And that's where Dana comes in, especially negotiating with the insurance companies, which there's an art involved in that. So do like I did when I got into a car accident. Call our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111 at ocbrown.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
And we're back here at Rufino's. Michael Cobble as our guest host today, along in for Jimmy. Mike, we had some breaking news before we bring Troy in here about future LSU schedules.
Oh, of course, as I just got off my phone because I thought you were going to go with Troy.
You teased it. I got to go with it now.
The meat of it is LSU's future non-conference schedule for the next couple of years. Has some interesting tie-ins. In 2028, Southern comes back on the schedule, which will be huge once again here in Baton Rouge. But then in 2030, which sounds like some science fiction movie, but is literally only 4 years away now, Charlie. Tulane's coming back to Tiger Stadium, so it's been a minute. Was the Dome the last game?
I think it was 2007.
To get Richard Dixon back in here to talk
Katrina
about the Whites.
Yeah, he tells some stories about that game. Northwestern State next year, Louisiana Monroe in 28, and Tulane in 30. All will be the season openers in Tiger Stadium. So I think you're seeing, and we'll talk more about this in the next hour, but I think you're seeing a philosophical switch here with the going to 9 games in the SEC. You're going to get this first game at home. You're going to get a win under your belt. You're going to knock the kinks out, and you're not going to pull. What happened to Texas next year is not going to happen to LSU by design. They went to Ohio State. They lost. If they had played Texas State at home, they'd have been in the playoff. It's hard to argue that point.
And I don't know how many times, but it was more than once that Lane discussed scheduling being such a critical factor in success now in college football.
I don't look for LSU to be visiting the shoe on opening weekend anytime soon.
Last battle for the rag was Halloween 2009. LSU won 42-0 at home.
A very memorable game that I don't remember at all. Let's bring in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers. Troy, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
We're getting a little scheduling information on LSU football here while we're talking about it. But you guys have been busy this week with the World Cup, and after the France-Spain match, I would say you guys were busy counting receipts because it was a real good day for the book and not so much for the public on the first semifinal.
I've been doing this for 5 years, looking at betting numbers every day, every week, and this is the strongest win for the sports book we've had. And it's because of the size of the handle and the percentage of the hold. Certainly, yes, the sports book ended up taking more sheer dollars on the Super Bowl. But, the hold percentage on the Super Bowl was only, I believe, 20%, whereas this was nearly 60%. And, the France-Spain game was one of the most wagered on, one of the 15 most wagered on matches games. That's including golf tournaments, the majors that do big handle. One of the 15 biggest of 2026. And the sportsbook held 60%. I think it has everything to do with the casual bettors watching one or two Spain games and being lured in by France. Spain, very boring. Did not excite anyone. Obviously played 0-0 to Cape Verde, but have been the most top-to-bottom complete team in the World Cup, whereas France looked electric. Look, it was unstoppable force needs a movable object, and the immovable object is Spain. And no one was backing Spain. What's there to back? Their best player, Yamal, hasn't tallied. I think he's tallied one goal. and France is just electric. And, I think one of the parts of the 48-team tournament that really screwed bettors late is that you have maybe a more watered-down field, and the stars shine. Braces for Haaland, Mbappe, Messi, Kane, multiple two-goal games. So heading into the knockout round, bettors thought this is going to continue. The problem is that after a round of 32, a lot of those, okay teams went away. And we haven't seen Mbappe, Messi, Kane, Haaland score in the quarterfinals or semifinals. That was a lot of money went that way. Anytime a game doesn't finish in 90 minutes, the book's going to win. There were unders in the quarterfinals and semifinals in 90 minutes. That goes back to the book. So I think the reason that the bettors were so successful in the first two rounds of group play is ultimately they stayed with those same betting patterns, and the games tightened up, as you see, like in the NBA in the postseason. And they, just were cleaned out. I believe 3 of the biggest sportsbook wins of 2026 were on knockout round World Cup matches. That's how bad it was for the bettors.
Troy, I get that France was the sexier play, but it's not that Spain came from out of nowhere. They had not trailed in this tournament. They were one of the pre-tournament favorites. Were you surprised that it was as lopsided of a betting handle as it was towards France? Given it's not like Spain was some gigantic underdog here. This is a pretty good club.
Very surprised. When I saw the number before the match, it was like 90% of the money and 88% of the ticket. And that surprised me. Yeah, if it were 70% and 75%, I get that. Spain's the public team for a reason. But to see it at 80%, listen, I had dozed off during a couple of Spain matches, but because they're boring. But they're just so complete, reigning champions of Europe. I think top 3 shortest odds was with France, Spain, and Portugal to win the World Cup. This team is just so good top to bottom. I was very surprised. But, you bet with what you want to see. And I think people wanted to see Mbappe score 3 goals. And Dembele has come on. He's the reigning player of the year in world football. So I am also surprised that the betting for the final hasn't adjusted to the fact that Spain have allowed 1 goal in the entire World Cup. They've looked just super strong, and it's Messi. I'm surprised that it isn't stronger on Spain, but I think the Messi factor and the come from behind factors certainly play into it. But I can't really find an angle other than Argentina to win, the second half, or a goal after the 80th minute, something like that. I can't find any way to bet on Argentina because of what I've seen from Spain.
Before we get to Argentina and Spain, let me go back to Argentina and England because I'm curious about the in-game wagering on this. England had the lead into the 85th minute. Argentina has scored, I think you check me on this one, Troy, I think 4 times as many goals in the knockout round after the 80th minute than before the 80th minute. I think it's 9-2 or something along those lines. So did the public jump in there before Argentina went on this blitz and scored twice in 7 minutes to win this thing? Did they have faith at that point?
Enough people did, yeah. Yeah, I saw some, $500 bets at 13-1, 15-1, a couple $100 bets at 20-1 on Argentina in full time. And, we didn't see that as much against Egypt. And I think it's because we only had, the sample size of Cape Verde. But now, they had to not rally from behind, but they had the Switzerland game was a late tie and they had to pull it off late. But I think you had a large enough sample size where you could feel confident pulling the trigger on the reigning world champions with the best player on the planet, who's inarguably one of the 3 greatest players of all time, in their 4th straight game trailing or in a tie late. That's confidence there. So it wasn't overwhelming. I mean, the sportsbook did pick up a win. It wasn't a massive win, but that's mostly because we took so much money on England full time and goal scorers on Kane, Bellingham, and Messi, who none of them found the back of the net. But we did see enough in-game betting that makes me think people were, once they saw it happen, they were like, now it's a great time to back Argentina and to play it out.
Okay, let's move forward and talk about where the action is. I guess we should ask about the third place game. There'll be some interest there this afternoon. I don't know how much from the players, but if you can give us, before we get to the final, a quick update on where France is minus 107 in full time, England is plus 270, and to move on, not to move on, but to finish third, France is minus 200, England is plus 155.
Yeah, it's pretty lopsided. 86% of the money and 83% of the tickets are on France. 90% of the money and 64% of the tickets are on over. That's the dicey for me. The motivation, I think, is going to be different. France, there's not the level of disappointment and gutted feeling that England has. And England also, when it comes to soccer, is kind of the way Americans feel. If you're not playing for the title, you're not playing. I think France has a little bit more pride to go out and play and win and get Mbappe potentially the top goal scorer award, because he could put in 2, and if Messi only scored 1, I believe he wins. So he just needs 1 more than Messi. So that I think France is there's going to be rotation a little bit. I mean, all our bets right now of over $1,000 are on France money line, anywhere from minus 110 to someone got them at plus 120 to win in 90 minutes. England is 0-2 all-time in World Cup third place matches. I think this is probably a 2-0 win for France. Both teams have scored failed to hit in 2 of the last 3 World Cup third place matches. England is winless in 7 of its last 8 matches against France. And if you really want to get wild, 5 of the 6 previous World Cup matches in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium have gone full-time draw. So I can't get behind England in any regard. It's whether or not you think France is going to have the motivation to push it over the line in 90 minutes. I think they're a better team. I think they're more dynamic. And the faultiness of England all World Cup has been their back line. They've rotated a bunch of players. They're going to have to rotate again. And the best part of France and the best unit in this World Cup has been France's front 3.
All right, the final on Sunday. Spain, the favorite to win the trophy at minus 165. Argentina's plus 130. Full time, Spain plus 128. Argentina plus 260. Where's the action and what's your pick?
72% of the money's on Spain, which is not surprising. But 58% of the tickets are on Argentina. We've seen maybe only one other instance of money going one way and tickets going the other way this entire World Cup. Maybe 2 games. I can't remember which one. Not terribly surprised that the tickets are backing Argentina and Messi. We've seen them do this before, rally back late. It's hard to bet against them, but I can't put any stakes on Argentina pre-match. 81% of the money's on the over, 66% of the tickets are on the over. No, thank you, not Spain games. I think this plays to the under. I would think, my gut tells me 1-0 or 2-0 Spain, but that is not taking into account the magic that Argentina has provided late. The bets I really like are, I think I need to get on Spain in the first half in some way, whether it's first half money line at plus 190, or at a minimum Spain, over half a goal in the first half at plus 110. I think Spain scores the first goal. But then I'm also betting on Argentina just to win the second half. I'm going off of what I've seen. And Spain is a dominant team, but Argentina, grit, gut, late. I do think Spain wins the game, though. However, if it goes in the extras, are you going to bet against – if it goes to PKs, are you going to bet against Messi? I know he's missed more penalty kicks in the World Cup history than anyone else, but they won last World Cup on PKs. He takes so many of them. It's really unique where it's like the magic and the power and all the things we've seen is on Argentina, and usually that's not enough to push it over the line against the most complete machine in the tournament, but that magical team is the reigning world champions with the greatest player on the planet. So it's very fascinating, but Spain is too tight, too complete. I'd be with Spain all the way.
Troy, enjoy the matches. Follow Troy at Troy, MACHIR. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
kind of squeeze that story about the future LSU opponents. Northwestern State in 2027, Louisiana Monroe in 2028, and Tulane in 2030 all look like to me what under the current calendar, Michael, if they don't change this up, is what would right now be referred to as week 0.
Yeah, what's interesting to me with that is, too, how does that affect your bye weeks later in the season? Do you get to manipulate them a little bit more to your advantage? So good to see, since the clearance came along, for college football, more teams to play week 0 games, all teams having that opportunity, LSU taking advantage of it right away.
I thought they should have done this a long time ago with the week 0 thing. Now, that was under the old calendar. I don't know what the new calendar looks like if they change the playoff.
Right.
If they change the playoff,
yeah, it's not week 0 anymore. It's just week 1.
It's going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But are you going to have 2 buys built in for everybody?
I believe the Tulane August 31st. I think that's a year where we're having 2 buys regardless. I think that's a week 1 game. I don't think it's a week 0.
Okay, so
that's where it's built into the calendar that way.
27. This is
27
this is Saturday before Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I think
so
2 of them
the Saturday, like 8-9 days to Labor Day next year. That looks like week 0 to me.
Yes, 27 and 28 are both week 0 games.
I'm happy that they're finally doing it. We've been asking for quite a time. Yeah, okay. Hour number 2 straight ahead here at Rufino's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Rufino's Live at Lunch. Come on out and see us. Chef Patrick is put with the weekly features to the appetizer, shrimp and peach ceviche with marinated tomatoes. Also on the appetizer feature, new crispy fried oysters with the truffle aioli. Entree features today include the 8-ounce filet with duck fat roasted carrots and the bone marrow butter, and the grouper Florentine imperial crab crust and spinach artichoke cream to go there here at Rufino's on Highland Road. Just to clarify what LSU has the weeks after this, and again, we kind of got squeezed a little bit there, but that's my fault. These schedule changes that they have brought up are, for the most part, in front of what you would consider then the marquee game. For instance, marquee non-conference game. Next year, they'll put Northwestern State in what would be considered right now week 0, assume we don't get a big change with the college football playoff, and then Houston is week 2 at NRG Stadium. In 2028, you come back, and this Northwestern game, the ULM game in 2028 is in front of the SMU game, which that game is in Tiger Stadium. 29, they go back and return that trip, but they return it at Arlington at Jerry World. Right now, there's no other game in front of that one. The McNeese game that season is TBA, and then you come back in 2030, and you get the Tulane game on August the 31st, and the rest of the schedule is not available. So they are, number one, they're doing something that we've long wanted them to do, which is get that tune-up in week 0. It's caught LSU in the past a number of times not doing that. The second thing is
5 years in a row.
If the schedules remain constant with conference championships and all that, there is the possibility of an extra bye if you do it that way. If this ends up being a permanent thing, then okay, it still works. It still works for me. And then the other thing is, just in the early going here of, Scott Woodward to Verge Osbury, and Woodward had put some of this stuff in motion. I remember I asked him last year, leading into the Clemson game, which seems like it was about a decade ago now. Michael Cobble is our guest host today. I should have said that at the top of the show, too, top of the hour. I said, how do you feel about this scheduling? Because this was put in place by Joe Oliva. And he told me in no uncertain terms, we ain't doing this again. He says, I'll play out what's on the schedule now, but he goes, we'll play some attractive non-conference, but you have to play a power guy. I'm not making my coach go to a top 10 team on the road to open the season. You want to talk about just get it handed to you in week number 1, and then they won the game. But no, that's going away. I brought up the Texas comparison next year, and I understand why LSU's doing it. If I were LSU, I would do this. Does it kind of suck for the fans a little bit? Because, hey, look, I wanted to watch Texas and Ohio State. I wanted to watch LSU and Clemson. My excitement level for LSU ULM is not going to be quite as high. No. But from a football standpoint, I certainly understand why.
You get it. You understand it. And to some degree, you can even swallow it when you have a home schedule like LSU has this year, which is by far, I think, probably the best home schedule I can remember since being in Baton Rouge. But it is going to detract, yes, from the overall luster of those games. And those are the things, unfortunately, for anybody over the age of 40 probably, that they want the most are those home and homes against traditional opponents or traditional college football powers. And so, yeah, those are going to be gone. Just with the way that college football is lining itself up now with the strength of schedule not necessarily being rewarded. Now, if things change and you see the playoff committee really emphasizing, who you play and not necessarily just wins, then there might be a path there. But no, I agree. I think these things are something for the history books and not necessarily for the future. So, again, if your team is successful and they're playing into December and potentially even January, then it won't matter at all. But if you become one of the also-rans and your marquee game is Houston, I mean, yeah, that's going to suffer.
The number of things that they have to deal with in the athletic department now, they just seem to.
It's all money.
Well, it is all money, but
money.
how can you get to it? This Save College Sports Act, okay, which I still maintain is never going to get approval from the Big Ten and the SEC if they insist on bundling the media rights.
Right.
They're simply not going to do it. The other thing that came,
and nor should they.
Well, when you have that kind of advantage, why would you give it up? Yes. The SEC is not going to acquiesce to abolishing the championship game until somebody gives them in writing a guarantee that they're going to make up that $100 million.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the other part of it as they try to adjust this bill, and we read this morning. LSU has joined other SEC schools in their opposition to this, but they didn't give an example of why. Okay. Well, through some really thorough detective work, I came up with it. See if you can follow me on this one. One of the things in the bill is that athletes can't strike deals with entities closely associated with the school. Okay, that's in the bill. That was not denounced, but LSU was like, no, we're not with this. Now go to LSU's website today. They've just put the story up about the scheduling. But before that, the number one story was 11 LSU players have been featured in Nike's inaugural Blue Ribbon Elite football roster. That's the most, okay? So you got 11 guys that
and
Nike's I'm sorry, and well, no. This is 11 football players. They're going to be more than that. You're right. They're going to be more than that in the other sports. So LSU's close relationship with Nike, which has been going on for a while, is going to present them with the opportunity to put more football players than anybody else on this list and get paid for it. And you're saying, LSU, yeah, we don't want you to be able to give deals like that because you're closely associated with Nike. And LSU's like, hang on a second. We're not giving up that advantage.
Well, and I also think, but it contradicts the basic whole part of NIL at its core. And when you can even bring it closer to home with the FMOL group and everything that they're doing for all the LSU sports. I mean, how do they think this thing works? And that's the problem is the scope is it's a good idea, but the scope is too broad for the Save College Sports Act. Something has to be done. Everybody agrees that, right? There's no sustainability with the way it's working now.
Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Yeah, I get it.
There you go. That's a great analogy. I might have steal that. But no, I mean, but that's the truth. And so I think what they should start doing is a more narrow-based approach. Knock out the things that you can accomplish. Knock out some of the things that can, help sustain college athletics in the format that it is right now. Everyone agrees revenue sharing is the right thing. So let's find a way that continues, but at a reasonable, not even subjective, but a fair market value, I guess. Because right now, some of these deals are crazy. They're ludicrous. What you're paying to get a kid on campus, what you're paying to just get a kid on campus to take a visit is crazy. Like, that's something we never talk about. But paying kids to come for visits now.
We used to talk about visits, and the guy like, oh, he's going on vacation. He's going to go get a nice 2-day trip. He's going to get a nice meal. He's going to get to go out on campus. And
now he's getting all that plus $20,000.
On the low side.
So yes, exactly, right.
Side.
So like that's my point, and I think if college athletic fans really knew the amount of money that is being spent in these programs, they would go nuts. Like, especially with the rising cost of groceries and everything that they have to pay. Like, the things that these athletes get just from transportation, hotel, food, just the basic necessities, the level that it is now being taken at a big program like LSU is insane. Like, I don't want to make everybody mad, but I always said that would be a fantastic investigative piece if you just showed the amount of waste and money being spent on some of these things.
And you wonder how much of it is necessary, because a lot of it is. You can't just recruit the 20, well, it used to be 25, but whatever it ends up being, you can't just recruit those 25 guys, because you're not going to go 25 for 25.
Right.
You got to recruit 75 guys when you're starting and narrow that down. So I don't envy any of these guys.
Administrators?
The administrators,
right.
No. Because a lot of these, not only are you coming from your standpoint, you got to come with this is the first question Sankey's going to get. Well, not the first question, because he's going to address it when he stands up there on Monday. Now, what's he going to say? You got any ideas?
No, but God, I wish he would be a little bit quicker with it. I mean, like, I think he's an intelligent person, and he probably has the right foundation of what he wants to say, but he has to be a little bit more car salesman in his selling points. I mean, my man just talks ad nauseum. Like, get to the point, spit it out, and let's really hammer home your emphasis, because he talks about everything, but like, let's get to what he's going to say. And yeah, I mean, he's not going to come right out and say it, which I just wish he would. Like, we're playing from a position of advantage. We're not going to give up those advantages. We worked hard. We sacrificed much for those, and that's where he needs to really just stand firm. He is one of the most, if not the most powerful person in college football. Act like it, like, put your feet down and stand on it.
Yeah, the only thing that when they get to that I gives me real pause, because I think the SEC should play from a level of strength, but they're what and what with the Big Ten. They don't hold any advantage right now over the Big Ten. They're not the best football conference right now. They've lost the last 3. And even if they had won the last 3, they're still trailing them in money. Not by a ton, but they are trailing them in money. So essentially, you got a partner here with the Big Ten, whether you like it or not. I get nervous when they start talking about, hey, we'll just go off and do this ourselves.
Yeah.
Just the SEC and that's it. Because I'm not one of the people that believes that, hey, football doesn't exist outside the Southeast, And I'm friends with people that could give a flip less what anybody else outside the SEC does, because they don't think that football is up to this level anywhere else, which is not true. But I'm not gonna have that argument again.
Well, the breakaway conversation is interesting, because it would probably work for football, but it would not work for every other sport.
Yeah.
And like again, that's the reality of the world that you have to play in. So, no, but again, stop hinting and intimating at what you want, and just come right out and say it. I mean, if you and Tony are in cahoots and kind of have your path, that's what I'm saying. I think the scope is too broad, because, yes, they're clearly trying to limit those powers by not being able to add or subtract any teams, not being able to break away and form your own thing. I mean, like, I get it. If you don't want to you don't want breakaway groups to form their own league, that's fine. But, like, you can't stop expansion if a league wants to expand. Like, that's where I think the overreach. That's a clear example of overreach in this bill.
The league thinks that too. In addition to antitrust exemptions and other things that they've got real problems with. I got an idea. let's take a break and come back and talk about actual football.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Get out of the it's kind of a newsy business day on the college football front. Let's talk about the actual team when we get back here. We are at Rufino's. We're also brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff have done a great job for us over the years, whether you got back pain, muscle soreness, things that are keeping you from getting around as well as you'd like, or maybe they are keeping you from getting a good night's sleep. Let them target those problem areas and get you to feeling better. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Live at lunch from Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yes, don't forget our friends at Go Chevrolet in LaPlace, Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine, Go Chevrolet West in Plaquemine, and Go Ford in Waveland, Mississippi. My buddies Lee Carney and Nick Richard doing a wonderful job. Mention my name, Jimmy Ott, for VIP pricing, whether you're in the market for a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle with extension of the factory warranty. We have a certified body shop as well, and our concierge service department, there's nothing like it. You talk about convenience on a different level. I don't just talk about the great vehicles from the Go Automobile Dealership family. My Tahoe came from Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. The Go Automobile Dealership family.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Returning here at Rufino's live at lunch. I want to help out our friends at Baton Rouge Soldier Outreach. Baton Rouge Soldier Outreach, a 100% volunteer-operated nonprofit who is dedicated to supporting our troops. Every dollar that they get goes into supporting our troops. Their mission is very simple, but it's vital. They provide the comforts of home to deployed service members who request their services while they are deployed overseas. To help fund this mission, they are hosting an upcoming sporting clay tournament on October the 9th at Bridgeview Gun Club in Port Allen. I want to invite you to come on out right now. They are offering discounts for your entry fees. If you sign up before August the 31st, you'll get 10% off of your individual registration fee. They've also got a firearm drawing, and they will be doing that on Friday, October the 9th. So please, if you can, help them out. The Baton Rouge Soldier Outreach helping out with our troops overseas. So you can sign up by this is the second annual that they are doing, by the way. So the Baton Rouge Soldier Outreach, you can contact Christy Smith, 936-1161, 936-1161 for more details. Mike, let's talk a little bit about let's start on the offensive side of the ball. They had to redo this offensive line, but they went out and got plenty of guys. What did you see in the spring that,
Not enough. Not enough, Charles. I'll be honest. So, again, this is sour grapes, right? But the offensive line works so far away from where we are, hardly ever get to see them work. And I got a chance to talk to Coach Wolf, the offensive line coach at one of the high school camps, and I was telling him that. I was like, man, I can't wait to see what your unit looks like, quite honestly. It has to be the most improved unit on the team. Like, not that it's going to be, it has to be. Like, if they are not improved, this team has no shot. Like, I mean, we saw what that offensive line did last year and how bad they were and how it impacted every aspect of the game, not just offensively, but what it did to the defense as well. And so, unless they tighten up and figure something out with 9 transfers coming in, I mean, I don't know that this is going to be what we all want it to be. Now, we have every hope and prayer that it is. You don't add a guy like Jordan Seaton, and not expect improvement. You don't pay those kinds of dollars for an offensive lineman, without some real expectation there. So, but it begins and ends there with me there on the offensive line.
So here's what I like and what I think is going to be the issue here. In Jordan Seaton, you paid an awful lot of money for a ready-made NFL left tackle. That's great. At center, you have Braylon Moore coming back, who has now started for 3 years, and one of them for you. That's good. Besides that, at the left guard, you have in Bo Bordlaw, a guy who went out and won the position from a transfer that was expected to. When you get a fifth-year senior, we've seen some of these guys in the past, like a Cornell Stewart comes to mind, Peter Diakowski, these one-year starters that, listen, man, if you stayed in the program for 4 years and you battled it out and you finally went and won a job, and he was not going to have that job. It was going to be Harper's job. He went out and won that job. That makes me feel good, okay? He wasn't handed anything. He's worked for it. Aluba at the right guard, basically, a 2-year starter for Maryland. Okay, if you started 2 years at Power Conference school, that's pretty good. And if Weston Davis, who struggled mightily last year, maintained his spot against all of this competition, that gives me, a little bit of confidence as well.
Yeah,
that's 5 individual pieces, though. How they work together, I don't know. That's the real. I think you've got 5 spokes in the wheel that can all be really good. I don't expect Davis to be as good as Seton. Davis has got to be better than he was a year ago. But I don't know how they work together, and I don't know that we're going to know that right away either.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Like, we all want these finished products at the start of the season. It is a work in progress, and you do have to take that into account. They no longer have the benefit of the doubt for me. And that's the problem, I'm not going to just buy in with the sunshine and rainbows that everything's going to be perfect. I get it's the off season.
It's different.
Everybody's undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Well, it better be a lot different along the offensive line.
It does need to be a lot different. The other thing is you've got a new coach, okay? And I'm sorry, I was not a Brad Davis fan, okay? There were too many things. Richard Dixon and I did film study every week, and just a lot of times you're looking at this. I'm sorry, I don't get what you're trying to do here. This is just bad technique. And, you get one guy with bad technique, bad player, okay? You get 2 guys with bad technique, maybe a coincidence. When they're all playing with, not all of them, but most of them playing with bad technique, well, now I got to go talk. I got to look at the coach. I got to look at the coach.
And the other thing is, look, the reality of last year was probably an anomaly. An anomaly. Thank you very much. I get paid to speak for a living. But the idea that your quarterback is a statue, and not only is he a statue, but he's an injured statue. And so the play calling is affected. That has to have a trickle down effect to everything that they're doing. I have a little bit more confidence that Lane would be able to scheme their way out of any issues that they might have than the last staff. I'm hoping that's on the come. So I feel like that is exactly what this team needs, what this offense needs, what this offensive line needs. And look, they've got a lot of fairly impressive pieces around them, too, that we're going to talk about.
At running back, so we talked about the Nike thing, okay? Harlan Berry's on that list. Caden Durham's on that list. And every time Lane Kiffin has talked about running backs, he wants to talk about Dylan Jones, okay? Yeah. So
we want to talk about Dylan Jones.
You saw Dylan Jones in the spring.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, he's a different looking dude, right? And the guys that were there in the past, I always felt like they were missing that one piece, whether it be explosiveness, whether it be cut and move, whether it be top end speed, whether it be durability and endurance. I mean, there were just games that they would wear down, and it was clear that was the problem. So it's practice. I get it, so I don't want to go too crazy. But when you are at practice, the things that you see are the things that are separators, that are differentiators, whether it be height, whether it be speed, whether it be explosiveness, whether it be grit, whatever. Those stand out on a practice field because you're not playing against anybody else. So we saw that in him, and I was impressed. I mean, and enough people were to, it's noticeable by everyone, not just 1 or 2 guys.
So here's what I saw with Jones. He reminds me a little bit of Josh Williams. He is not the biggest or fastest, but you're going to get a
foot in the ground and move.
You're going to get you're going to get a north-south guy who is physical and is going to hit the hole that's there and get what he can. There's not a whole lot of dancing. There's not a whole lot of swivel to it. The other thing I saw to him was when they went to tempo, they didn't have to take him out. And I think this is my opinion. I'm not going to try to put words in anybody else's mouth. Most running back coaches are thou shalt learn to block before you get to play all the time. Yeah. And if they're going to go tempo and they're going to rely on whatever back is in there to run the ball, catch the ball, and block, then right this second he provides maybe the most reliable complete package. does not have the speed that the other two do. He is not. I don't think he has the big play ability that the other two do. But there's no holes in his game either, and he has played at a high. At Wisconsin, it's a pretty legitimate program. If he's on the field, I think they can rely on him to do what they're asking him to do. You may not get 60-yard touchdown runs out of him.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see how healthy Caden is as well. That was obviously an issue for him. So what does his health look like, and can he get back to some of that top-end speed that you talked about? Because it was missing last year.
Which of the 17 receivers do you like?
Where do you start? It's like a Baskin Robbins. You got a little bit of flavor for everything. And it's funny how similar they are as well. So they're not a ton of height again, a couple of pieces here and there, but not a ton of height. So these are going to be guys that, you're going to have to find with the football. Hopefully Sam, or if he's healthy, is the guy that, can drop it in a bucket for him. But
I think Sam's healthy.
I think Sam's healthy too.
Ask Lane about it next week.
We will. Can't ask Sam. No, there wasn't a ton of separation in that group for me.
Yeah.
You could kind of all throw them in a bucket and they all looked about the same, doing about the same thing. So, Trey Dez is the difference maker in that, in that passing attack. How much, and that's going to be fun for me to see how much they utilize them. How do they utilize them? You don't talk about somebody that's got to work on their endurance. I think Trey Dez Green is definitely going to have to be, a guy that's been doing the cardio all summer.
Those are the interesting things of the passing game to me. I'm with you in that I don't see a ton of difference between receivers 3, 4, and 5, okay? I don't expect anybody in this receiving core, and of the wide receivers, to put up Jamar Chase numbers or Malik Neighbors numbers or Justin Jefferson numbers. I expect it to be somewhat balanced because of what Kiffin has said, which is we operate better when we have great depth and we have 4 or 5 guys that can do this. Now, the exciting part of the passing game to me is how are you going to get the tight end more involved? And that's Trey Dez Green. And how are you going to get the backs more involved? Okay, I never felt like they had much of a screen game, And
again, was that because the offensive line couldn't get out and move?
Maybe, maybe.
Quarterback couldn't survive the rush.
But it's been a minute since they had what I would consider a reliable screen game. I think Kiffin is creative enough, especially formation-wise, that the screen game can really help them. And maybe some of that is to the tight end. The tight end screen would be a fantastic addition. One of my favorite plays, and I'm going back a little bit now, is to some of the less teams. They used to run that center peekaboo screen that always worked. Charles Scott, I think, probably caught 20 passes that year on just they'd run it once or twice a game, but man, they'd run that little peekaboo screen in the middle of the field and they'd make a first down. So, and it doesn't have to be that. There's something in the screen game. Give me some creativity.
I hear what you're saying, and I think you don't have to look too far. You can remember LSU's game in Oxford, the last play of the game, to see Lane utilizing some of that. So, they're rubbing it in their face. I think
the guy was wide open. What were they supposed to do? It ain't Lane's fault.
I know, but I think back to what was it? Was it against Wisconsin? Brandon
Harris.
What? Brandon Harris, had the guy wide open in the flat, missed him. Yeah, so it's
Harris didn't have a changeup. He had nothing but a fastball.
Yeah, there's holes in LSU's game in the past in that area. So no, again, I feel like they have the pieces. I feel like they have the right play caller. I'm excited to see what Charlie Weiss does. I'm excited to see. Maybe that's something we can ask Lane. Like, how much of this is Charlie and how much of this is you? Because Lane gets all the credit, but I think he's quick to give Charlie a ton of credit as well. So.
Yeah. You'd have to be on the headset to know for sure. Whenever you got a dominant side of the ball head coach like that's as dominant as that, usually it's I manage the game.
Right of first refusal. He gets the jump in.
Listen, you're the head coach.
Yeah.
I want you to do that.
Yeah.
They brought you in for that. If I wanted just somebody who was going to allocate everything and not, there's a lot of coaches can do that. I want the coach that knows exactly in the game when he wants to spring something.
And that's his forte, right?
It's very easy to spot, too, because about 3 or 4 times a year there'll be a play where the quarterback goes and he hits that back foot and he's going to throw the ball. And before he even releases it, Kiffin throws his clipboard up in the air because he knows he's got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay? I always wanted those guys to drop the ball when they don't miss. I'd like them to catch it.
If I could add one thing, 4th and short, and goal line situations. I feel like the last couple of years, LSU's really struggled with that. Obviously, the offensive line's a big part of that. But we know Lane likes to go for it on 4th down. So so much of that is play calling as well. We'll see how they do there.
Yeah, I mean, 2nd and short, 3rd and short. Last year, you think back to those nightmare scenarios, inside the 10-yard line, 1st and goal, those kinds of scenarios where LSU was just going backwards every single time. So
we saw this in the spring, and I'm not giving away state secrets here. Anybody can turn on the Ole Miss film from last year and see what they did. They put 2 bigs behind the guard and the tackle, and then God bless you if you can God bless you if you can stop it, because we're going to send about 1,200 pounds of humanity into this thing.
They did that in spring ball.
They did,
and Lane was like, "Yeah, that's why we don't want you out there watching practice."
Well, like I said, I'm not giving away anything that was in practice that is not on every single Ole Miss film from last year. I think Dabo Swinney's smart enough to go look at the film and not listen to Live at Lunch. Okay, so I'm not giving away anything here.
Well,
but that
done
is
with ACC Media Days now. He may be tuning in.
Shortage of the short yardage situations. No, we know what we're going to do.
It was criminal last year. It was criminal last year. It was so frustrating.
Well, when you don't have an offensive line that's up to the job, it greatly reduces you in what you can call. They get on the pitch callers sometimes in baseball. If you don't throw strikes, I can call any pitch you want.
Right.
Fastball, curveball, football. You got to be able to throw it over the plate, man. If you don't do that,
got no shot.
Right, exactly. We'll take a break here. We'll come flip sides of the ball when we return here live at Lunch from Rufino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive at 8445 Segan Lane, just off of Perkins, between Perkins and I-10. It's the only place I take my vehicle. Jason Payne, going to give you an honest deal. Not going to upcharge you for unnecessary work. Now, because of it, he has so much repeat business that it's busy. If you bring it in and it's too busy at that time, he will schedule a more convenient time for you and for them. So you're not just sitting around. You come in, they want you busy, and you just sit there and wait and wait and wait for hours upon hours upon hours. Not going to happen at K&M Automotive. Tell them you heard it right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. My buddy Jason Payne at K&M Automotive, 8445 Segan Lane, just off of Perkins, across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery.
Live at Lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store, open in LaRose and Lockport. If you got painting projects this summer, you are in luck, because right now, big discounts at the website, thethibodeaustore.com, up to 20% off of most of your marking paints, all of your painting supplies, your compound, your spackling and primer, your tape, your tarps, all of them, brushes, rollers, pans, all of it on special right now at thethibodeaustore.com. If you are in the neighborhood, same-day pickup on anything you can order off of the website, delivery available on some of these items. As you get here deeper into the summer, you got some construction projects, lumber delivery available out of the Lockport and the Pierre Part Store. Online, all four of the properties are accessible at the one site at thethibodeaustore.com. All right, Michael, we saw so much of this turnover on the offense, but the defensive coaches, you've got your coordinator back, so you're going to have schematically a lot of the same things. What did you? And there's some new personnel, obviously. What jumped out at you in the spring and on defense?
Max and I were just talking. The thing that jumped out to me first was just that Blake was moved off of his position. Chris Kiffin taking over linebackers was just interesting to me. I think what it allowed Blake to do was maybe have a little look in on every group and kind of roam throughout practice, but that was initially what stood out to me. You look at the secondary, you look at the pieces that they've added and what they returned. That certainly looks like a strong point. Not having Witt out there full go for most of the spring was again, something that you're going to want to wait and see. I'm just taking a real big wait and see approach with all of this, but I think he's so important to what they do and how they do it. I'll be interested to see, how they utilize him and how healthy he is. Looks like he's ready to go.
I think that probably the most heralded of the incoming players, and I say this with T.J. Daugherty having been up at the top of the league in tackles last year and going to media days is going to be a very important part of what they do. But I think maybe the most heralded guy is in the secondary, and Todd Benefield. He looks the part. When I went out there and watched in the spring, it's like, okay, this is 2 years in a row now that we've gone out there and saw a safety that just jumps off the field at you, jumps off the page at you right at the beginning. But he's not the guy that I think is the one I'm most excited to see in the most important of the additions. The most important of the additions, I think, is Prince Umanmielen, and to a lesser extent Jordan Ross, because I think that LSU got excellent safety play last year. Benefield will come in and he will be excellent. He's a different type of player than what Halsey was, but I think he was an excellent player. He was an excellent player at Boise. He'll be an excellent player here. I don't expect there to be any drop-off from an all-conference player. But LSU got that last year. LSU did not get much of a pass rush last year.
No pass rush.
They got to have some kind of heat on the passer, and I think Umanmielen is probably, it stinks that, they lost their guy. Relaford. But Umanmielen is a proven pass rusher in this league, and I think he could make the biggest impact, the biggest upgrade of any of them.
Well, just to roll it back, that was the thing. You got no push up the middle last year, but then you really didn't get any on the edges either. And so LSU has to find some way to affect the quarterback, to your point. If they can do that, then they certainly have the pieces on the back end to play safe, And I don't know that they're going to necessarily, use their linebackers in that capacity. Deshaun Spears, we'll see what he can do at the star position. Is he more in coverage? This is the first time we're going to see a Harold Perkins less defense, right? I mean, how much of that conversation has dominated the preseason for the last 4 years, and how will they use him? What will he do? Is this the year? And so ultimately I think it was, disappointing. Like when you look at what they were able to get with him, and he had his moments. No one will ever forget that Arkansas game that he saved, but we're moving on, to quote an old LSU coach.
There were times, and I'm not assessing blame here, but there were times where it felt like the tail was wagging the dog a little bit, because it was, where's Perkins going to be? Listen, it sounds good. We're going to move Perkins all over the place. They're not going to know where he's going to be. Yeah. Just as many times, the LSU defenders didn't know where he was going to be either, and there were some busts, more 2 years ago than last year, but there's a certain thing to everybody has a role. Play your role, play sound defense, and make teams drive the field on you. You may not get as many spectacular plays. Like the play that Perkins made to close out the Clemson game when he started on one side of the field and he tracked Klubnik down on the other side. That's a play that just not a whole lot of college players can make. So I appreciated his talent, but at times it seemed like they were just trying so hard to recapture what he had as a freshman. It just wasn't there as a unit. I'm not blaming Perkins. I'm not blaming Baker. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that at times it looked like the sum of
forcing the issue is the best way to describe it. It just felt like they were forcing the issue to try to, to your point, to make some magic out of that. And Harold's greatest gift was that he was that flash of lightning at times. Is he Tyrann Mathieu? No, but he had his moments, but I think he got those moments because they allowed him to play free and loose, and but yeah, again, my point is that we're moving on. They're going to have to play all 11, football. There's not going to be one guy that's going to come in and save them. They have the pieces, I think, at every level, it would appear, but that front four, front five, however, front three, whatever front you want to run, they're going to have to be impactful.
And if we see what we saw in the spring, we're going to see a lot of Deuce Gerald's. Now, we know that Richard Anderson was a headliner, okay? But Deuce, out of the freshmen,
yeah, he stole some of the headlines for sure. I mean, he's impactful. Just the word that we were using, we were talking about it a moment ago, just to practice the things that stand out. He was a guy that stood out because of his difference, making skill set, whether it be burst, whether it be athleticism, strength, rip, whatever it was. He was making plays that stood out. And so, yeah, he's going to get more playing time. again, with a freshman, though, it's about sustainability, replication. Can you do it down in and down out? And if you can't, then can they utilize you? You're a tool, right? How do they utilize you effectively and efficiently to get the most out of you when your time is called?
He made them play him.
Yeah.
Basically what you had there. He was going to make sure that he got out there. Now Lamar Brown was still in high school
sure.
in the spring, so
he was actually out there watching practice, which was interesting.
Correct.
He was there almost as much as we were.
It's an easy commute.
Right
across.
Because it was
right
one of those work release things. You get to just take a day off of school to go watch practice.
When you went to Clemson last year, did you imagine that the build-up for that game would match the build-up for this game from a competitive standpoint? I certainly did. I thought LSU went over there. They were about a 4.5 point underdog. I thought, well, when it comes to Baton Rouge next year, it'll probably be about the same. LSU will be about a 4 point favorite.
Are they a 12-point favorite now?
They are a 12-point favorite. And they're the team that changed coaches, okay? So when we look at the schedule, and it's like, man, this Clemson game, they've gone from a game that last year, the whole month of August, they're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, we better win that game. It's almost
We're
like
not even
people
talking about that game. Let's be honest. Everybody's talking about week 3.
And they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't.
They shouldn't be. We were talking before the show even started today, you're not particularly – relishing the fact of going to Ole Miss because it's going to be a little bit nasty.
It's going to be a circus, yeah, and I mean it's pretty rowdy on just a regular Saturday in the fall. Like that student section is right on top of you. They're pretty vulgar, but it is a smaller stadium, but they're right there. No, I just think it's going to be a lot of hassle for. Whatever. But, no, it's going to be electric, right? No doubt about that. It's going to be exciting. But
I wonder – I ran this by Jimmy last week. I'll probably end up saying it more times than people want to hear in August. And if I'm wrong, I'll be spectacularly wrong. But I think more pressure's on Ole Miss than LSU. It's almost – because Lane Kiffin's going to be here for a while, we think, okay? He's going to be given every tool, every opportunity, and – if they don't make the playoffs this year, it's not the end of the world. I almost feel like at Ole Miss, they don't want to just win this game. They want to pound the flesh. They want to humiliate Lane Kiffin. They want to rout Lane Kiffin, hang him in effigy, whatever you want to call it.
We lived this when Nick came back with Alabama, and you can think about the build-up to that game and the way people felt about it.
So, the 08 game, not when it was here, not 07.
So I mean, like that. It's very similar to me in that regard, but I'll say this as far as Ole Miss needing it, they need it for validation.
Yeah.
For long-term accreditation, if you will, because if they do dip, then it's really, I think, going to tarnish.
They're not sure what they've got in Pete Golding. LSU's sure what they got in Lane Kiffin. Now, it may not work out, but they absolutely know what they have. Ole Miss doesn't know that with Pete Golding.
And if they it's false bravado if they're projecting it too, right? Because, they have to come back and do it again and show they belong because no one's giving them the credit for it right now. They're all giving it to Lane Kiffin. And so I think it will be interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons why they want to win, but to me that's the most important is their long-term stability and sustainability, because then they have to recruit off of that next year too.
See, September to me, the game that's most troublesome for me is the one after that. Because if you're going to be sky high for Clemson, and certainly everybody will be, and you have to be sky high for Ole Miss, then after all of that 3 weeks worth of just absolute crescendo, then you got to come home and play Texas A&M, who's got a better roster than you, at least on paper, most people think, and who's got a quarterback who has tortured you the last 2 seasons. That to me is the troublesome game.
One of the things that I like that Jay Johnson says is like championship level performance is boring. And to me, that is Mike Elko and Texas A&M. That dude scares me. Like he is boringly good. Like he knows what he has. He knows who he is, and he knows what his football team can do.
And that quarterback ain't boring.
Yeah, I think it's a loss. I'll just tell you right now.
I do too.
I mean, there's 4 games on LSU's schedule. I think they lose 3 of them. That give me concern.
I don't know if they lose 3 of them, but that to me that's the hardest game of the year.
Yeah. Texas If Texas can get up and running at the end of the year, that November is
they'll be. I'm worried about the game at Tennessee because they come off Alabama, Texas, and then you got to go to Tennessee because I don't know.
You're
Tennessee's
a trap game guy, huh?
Well, yeah,
they call them that for a reason.
In July, we'll talk about trap games. We'll come back and wrap things up here live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Michael Cobble, thank you so much for stopping in with us today and sitting in for the show, giving us your thoughts before you head to Media Day. What's coming up on WBRZ?
I don't know, Charles. I got the day off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't mean necessarily today, but just what's coming up in August? What's coming up?
Well, we're wrapping up our high school football preview Sports 2 days. Thank God for them. They got us through the summer without LSU baseball, so that's been clutch. But I'll be heading out on Sunday. SEC Media Days. We'll start our coverage on Sunday night, 10 o'clock probably. I'll do a little something there, previewing the week. Really a boring Monday. I know this isn't great, tease for what we do and everything, but Monday at SEC Media Days is really lame. It starts to pick up steam on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then, of course, LSU there on Thursday. But we'll be there covering all. I think I might be the only TV station going for the whole week, so if you want all the SEC Media Days coverage you can handle, then tune in to Channel 2.
Are they putting Lane Kiffin last to make sure everybody sticks around the whole week, or just to make sure that he doesn't say something on day one that everybody's got to respond to the whole week?
About the rest of the week? Him and Sark on the last day, so they got a couple of heavy hitters there. And usually it is a ghost town on the last day, so this will keep people around for sure, I think.
Sarkisian's been busy in the offseason. He's had a few quotes that have made the rounds.
The Texas college football scene right now is just something to – It's trying to rival LSU for craziness.
Can we get Joey McGuire credentialed? Maybe he could ask Sark some questions. Now that would liven things up.
That would liven.
We'll see what.
As long as that dude that I can't even think of the question that he asked now. That he was. That they were asking the guy that asked about the tortillas. He couldn't say the word tortillas.
You're
from Texas and you can't say tortillas, then I don't believe you anymore.
You don't get your credibility shot. All right, Mike, thanks a bunch, man. We really appreciate it. Max, what's going on in Mariol, England before we get out of here?
Lucas Herbert still has the lead at 8 under, followed by Cam Young and Jackson Suber, 2 back at 6 under. Sam Burns in a tie for 4th with Bryson DeChambeau and Ryan Gerard, who are both still out on the course. Scotty Scheffler is on the course. He is 3 under. He's got 4 holes to play. He is the live favorite right now, but I would say Young and Bryson are very much in the mix right behind him. But Burns, we'll see. He could have a very special weekend this week at Royal Birkdale.
He's already had one for the books. His 62 ties the major record, holing out of the bunker on 18 to get to 62 for the day, one of 2 62s at the Open today. Here at Rufino's, our appetizer features the shrimp and peach ceviche with the marinated tomatoes, crispy fried oysters with the truffle aioli. Your appetizer features today. Entree features the steak, the 8-ounce filet with the duck fat roasted carrots, grouper Florentine with spinach artichoke cream, all on the menu today here. Chef Patrick, as always, doing a great job. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend on Monday. We will be right across the street at Chris's Specialty Foods. Gordy Rush will be sitting in with me. Been a minute since me and G. Rush did some radio together. We'll do that to open up SEC Media Days on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and stay tuned for Hunt on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.